I don't know why, but unfortunately, whenever the machine tried to wrap it from the second hole over to the third, it kept catching the edge of the part before moving over, and I broke my drill bit. Thankfully, I had one left. That's the right size for an M6x1 tap. And I think this is my last M6x1 tap, so I'm going to have to go nice and carefully to get this done. Unfortunately, my CNC doesn't have an ability to change spindle direction via the computer. I have to do it manually, forward, reverse. So this is kind of like half manual, half CNC. I use the machine to jog it over so that it's right in the 0 spot, right above the hole. I switch into the low range to get the right RPM. Manually feed down. Shut the machine off. Change direction. Bring the tap right back out. Now usually if I get this right, I don't know how clear the screen is, but usually what I can do is I can select the next line of code and then have the machine. No, didn't work. So it thinks it's still drilling that hole, and if it's going to send the tap in contact, I'll stop it, which it is, so that's no good. So hit stop again, move it back up above. There we go. Now it's going to move over, and I just have to have the e-stop button ready to go, because as soon as it goes to move down, the spindle won't be on, and I don't want it to be driven by the servo motors. I want to manually tap the holes. All I use this for is just to make sure I end up with the exact same locations. And turn the CNC drive off. And let it come back out. So that was my first time power tapping. I used DeWalt drill, and I put the clutch setting on 13 and in speed 1. And this is a hand tap, so it technically shouldn't be used with any kind of power behind it other than just turning by hand, but I figured I'd give it a try. It worked pretty well. We got majority of the holes threaded without any issue. They just have to be cleaned up so that they can go on the fixture. It's pretty embarrassing to use Phillips screws, but for whatever reason I can't find any of my tapered M6x1 Torx or socket head cap screws. So I'm going to give this a try, and I'm going to use a larger diameter end mill to come around and just clean up the profile, and then move on to the next step. So I've got profiling op number 1 all set up and ready to go on the screen. I'm not sure if the code shows up all that well on the camera. I'm going to get the GoPro mounted and leave one of the splash shields out of the way so that hopefully you guys can get a good look at how this works. It's a multi-flute 7/8 inch diameter end mill. So that definitely cleaned up the side of the part quite a bit. All that needs to be done now is have the edges on both top and bottom deburred, and then these guys are ready to go. Then it's time to move on to the piece that will bolt onto these M6x1 holes, and we'll have a brake lever guard. That was a little bit messy without the shield on, so for the rest of the 8 that I'm making right now, I'll have all the guards back on to try and keep the coolant in place. So the CNC is running, the last one's on the machine now. First run is going to be 8. I don't want to go overboard and make a whole bunch. I want to make a few, test them out, see what they're like, have people try them, fit them on different bikes, make sure they look good and work good and do the job they need to do before I make a bunch. It's also cheaper for me if I don't make a lot up front, because then I don't have material and cutters and time sitting on a shelf not being sold. This last operation took about 4 minutes to do. Each probably took 2 minutes to unload and load apart, just because it's not the most effective fixture, and I couldn't use my drill because I only had tapered Phillips screws as opposed to Torx or Allen key. But either way, it's coming along. If you have any suggestions, comments, thoughts, write it down in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm just learning how to do the YouTube video deal and edit and get everything posted, just to kind of share what I do and how I do it. So thanks for watching. Alright, so 8 brake lever guards are done. At least the majority of the machining. There's still a lot of little detail, like just deburring edges, cleaning things up so that they look really nice. I don't have a tumbler yet, but it would be really nice to get one so that I can just drop these in a bin, have it go round and round and round and come out beautiful. here's all 8 of them right here. Try to set it up with some better light. These are the ones where the taper did turn out properly. You can see that there's definitely burrs all over the edges. There's work left to be done, but that's okay. I'll get everything cleaned up and make sure it looks pretty before anything gets anodized.